All right, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is Armed Migrant Gang Infiltrates New York City. All right, so let's check it out. Let's do it.
A number of people have gathered in an anti-Trump kind of sentiment. Our Sarah Ganem is there.
He was arrested back in November for allegedly stabbing his father.
Make no mistake, it is this city's sanctuary policies that are the sole reason this criminal is allowed to roam the streets freely.
And have these small number of migrants and asylum seekers that have identified that they're going to be dangerous, hide under the law.
Gangs made up of undocumented...
Yeah, but you are the law, Mayor. Like, you are the law. Fix it.
Identify that they're going to be dangerous, hide under the law.
Gangs made up of undocumented immigrants are reportedly increasing in numbers in New York City. Law enforcement officials have expressed concern about the growing presence of these groups and the potential for violence and crime. While the motivations and activities of these gangs remain largely unknown, the possibility of their involvement in organized crime is causing alarm.
He's focused on crime and public safety and the city's ability to collaborate with ICE to address those issues. But speaking with the city council...
New York Mayor Eric Adams is prepared to overturn long-standing sanctuary city policies that have prohibited local law enforcement from working with federal immigration authorities. New York City's laws are designed to protect undocumented immigrants from being detained or deported by federal agencies. They limit how local agencies can participate in these efforts to promote together and promote public safety. The mayor announced that New York City law enforcement would collaborate with federal immigration authorities to remove migrants believed to have committed crimes or who have not yet completed the due process. But
good. Like, this is the first thing that this shouldn't have happened in the first place, bro. Right? Like, if you would have set something up and not just allowed a free flow of people in, right? If you would have set something up and actually found out who these people were, then yeah, you would have known instantly, that they're coming to the United States of America with an actual criminal past.
The move to overturn sanctuary laws came to a halt.
Do that.
The problem in the city keeps getting worse as New York City runs out of room to house the incoming migrants, thereby resulting in the building of temporary housing. But his idea was not fully received because the location of the temporary housing is at a bad location. Some migrants finally decided to take advantage of the system and exploit it.
We turn our attention now to the dozens of migrants found living in the basement of a furniture store in Queens.
The store owner told us he allowed 74 men to live in the basement because he wanted to help them.
Inspectors
How much were they paying you, bro?
were called to a two-story commercial building in the Bronx to look into an illegal conversion. Upon arrival, they discovered that the store had been converted into sleeping quarters, with 45 beds crammed into the first floor and cellar in violation of regulations. Sar, the owner of the stores, was emotional as he expressed his desire to assist other Africans who were seeking help after their 30-day shelter stay ended, because the city had not provided further assistance. He charges over 70 men $300 each month to stay in his crowded makeshift shelter located on the first floor and basement of a furniture store in South Richmond Hill. The 30-day shelter policy was put in place to limit shelter stay by immigrants. After the 30-day...
So he was basically making $21,000 a month. He was doing this he was doing this out of the kindness of his heart. I have an empty building. I'm going to charge you $300 a month. I'm just going to, kindly make $21,000 a month on a building that was empty anyway. Okay. Yeah.
Shelter policy. You are on your own.
That's
and the
crazy,
government doesn't
bro.
care about what happens to you. You are expected to reapply for shelter, and it takes up to 150 days to process. This leaves one stranded with no way to go and no job. Guess
what are they like? What is the government supposed to do, bro? It's too many people.
what happens next? Some of them turn to crime.
But was still held due to an arrest warrant in Queens. Police are still looking for the ringleader, 30-year-old Victor Parra from Venezuela. Investigators say Parra would send out messages via WhatsApp, telling the group what to steal.
Victor Parra, a 30-year-old man who arrived in New York from Venezuela, is believed to be the ringleader of a group of thieves who used mopeds to steal phones and wallets. Parra sends out messages on WhatsApp to recruit his accomplices, specifying the phone models he needs, and his major targets are new immigrant arrivals. The criminals target women who are walking alone, approaching them from behind to quickly steal their phones or handbags before running away. A scooter thief can make $100, while a phone snatcher can earn anywhere from $300 to $600. The stolen phones are taken to Parra's apartment, where a tech expert hacks into them to access the victim's financial and banking apps. These apps are then used to make fraudulent purchases in the United States and Central America. The stolen phones are then sent to Colombia to be wiped. During a search of Parra's home, authorities discovered 22 stolen phones and identification belonging to the victims. 5 individuals have been arrested by investigators. It becomes more scary as it is believed that the people involved in these crimes belong to a very deadly Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua.
And guys, keep this in mind. New York City is generally crime infested anyway, right? To a certain extent, obviously, but they're used to a certain type of crime. We are not used to, specifically referring to the United States of America, we're not used to like the specific crimes that are common, I'm guessing, in Venezuela, right? So now this group here is basically injecting their criminality, their unique criminality, into the United States of America, and it's going to be a while before, I guess, all of the detectives can pretty much, come up with a way to like legitimately target every single thing that they're doing, guys, right?
Tren de Aragua gang is involved in a range of criminal activities such as extortion, kidnapping, robbery, contract killings, drug and human trafficking, and smuggling.
As the New York Police Department has released body camera footage of the attack on 2 officers by a group of migrants in Times Square.
On the evening of January 27th, around 8:30 p.m., a surveillance camera captured a group of men and 2 police officers having what appeared to be a routine and peaceful interaction. However, things took a turn for the worse when the officers tried to apprehend one of the men. Suddenly, the encounter became violent, starting with a forceful kick to one of the officers' heads. Out of nowhere, the situation escalated rapidly. The group of men began attacking the officers, who were already on the ground, repeatedly punching and kicking them. Thankfully, the officers sustained only minor injuries and received immediate medical attention at the scene. 2 days later, authorities managed to apprehend 5 out of the 7 suspects involved in the incident, and they were released without bail.
Stoking the outrage, 5 of them, all migrants here illegally, were released without bail.
How then will New York be safe? Henry Brito, who is known as the instigator of the fight, was granted bail of $50,000, which a priest paid off. They are all rumored to be part of the Tren de Aragua gang.
It's mind-boggling that anyone would want to try to release this dangerous individual.
What it is that, the priest most likely thinks that he's doing the best thing for this individual. This guy's a human, right? But the problem is that there are absolutely migrants that need help. I'm going to keep saying this regardless of how many people yell at me in the comments here, guys. There are, in fact, people who do need help around the world to a certain extent, right? But then there are people like this, right, who are making the people who actually need help look terrible. Right? And that's what I think this entire frenzy is about. Most likely the reason why on my list I keep seeing videos about migrants being asked to check out, guys. Right? This is a bad guy. He's probably a bad guy in Venezuela also, right? So just keep this in mind. The priest thought that he was doing a good thing for a fellow human, but the problem is this fellow human seems to be completely unredeemable.
He was arrested multiple times.
How can a migrant with no steady source of income and living in a shelter afford such an amount of money?
And in one of the most expensive cities in the world, if not the most expensive city in the world. I think it goes back between New York City and London.
This is where it gets worse. Andres Gomez Isquiel, who was taken into custody as one of the individuals involved in the attack on 2 police officers, was arrested again. He faced charges of second-degree assault on a police officer and obstructing governmental administration, which was captured on camera and was released without bail. It's not up to a month after being taken into custody, Andres Gomez Isquiel found himself in trouble once more when he was apprehended for reportedly shoplifting and assaulting a loss prevention worker at Macy's in Queens. He was involved in a theft with others, taking clothing valued at $600 from the store, and he even physically attacked the employee who attempted to intervene. The employee sustained minor injuries as a result of the altercation. Gomez Isquiel now faces charges of robbery and petty larceny. Jesus Alejandro Rivas Figueroa, a 15-year-old boy, was apprehended for shoplifting at a sporting store in Times Square. Alongside 2 other suspects, he was caught by a vigilant loss prevention officer.
Bro, don't cry now.
The officer requested a receipt from the boys after noticing them holding a bag filled with clothes and sneakers. When they couldn't provide one, he took back the stolen bag and attempted to question them further. Unexpectedly, Rivas Figueroa, the teenager dressed in all white, pulled out a .45 caliber handgun and fired shots at the officer
in Manhattan
surrounding crowd. Fortunately, the officer narrowly escaped being hit, but unfortunately, a 37-year-old Brazilian tourist waiting in line to purchase sneakers was struck in the knee and sustained injuries. The incident caused panic and chaos as people within the store began running and hiding.
The security guard confronted them, prompting this.
What?
Watch as the teen in white walks away, then suddenly turns around, points a .45 caliber gun, and fires around.
At 47th Street and 7th Avenue, NYPD patrol officers spotted 2 of the teenagers who had fled from the sporting shop. At that moment, one of the individuals was apprehended by the officers. Figueroa, on the other hand, managed to escape the police at 6th Avenue. However, before getting away, he dangerously fired shots at the pursuing officer. This was a highly risky situation as the area was densely populated, and any of those bullets could have tragically harmed an innocent civilian due to the presence of...
Yeah, but it did. It hit a tourist in the knee.
Numerous people. The police officer refrained from firing back at the 15-year-old, despite having drawn his gun.
As the suspect goes through the cut between the buildings, he's running, he takes his gun out under his armpit. He fires again at our officer.
He sought refuge in a subway station before heading back to his residence, where he and his mother started gathering their things to escape the city. He was apprehended while hiding in a closet at a residence in Yonkers, New York, within a day. The police were determined to spare no expense in apprehending him, as a citywide manhunt was launched following his escape at the subway station.
Right, because that's extremely brazen, bro.
To encourage people to come forward with information about his whereabouts.
In the city, guys?
A reward of $1,000 was offered. Rivas Figueroa arrived in New York City in September of last year, and his most recent known location was the Stratford Hotel on West 70th Street, where he stayed with his mother. How is it?
Yeah, take the mother with you. Take the mother with him, to be honest here. Because here's the thing. Do you think that she didn't know who her son was? Why would you bring your son here? Right? Like, why would you bring your son here? You knew who your son was, what he was capable of, obviously. To the point where when he came running to the house, he told you what happened. You're trying to now escape and hide, right? No, the mother is just as guilty. I'm sorry, bro.
Possible that a guy without no housing and no job has a gun. Unfortunately, this is not Rivas Figueroa's first offense in the Big Apple. He is suspected of being involved in an armed robbery in the Bronx on January 27th, as well as an incident on January 25th, where shots were fired in a park on 45th Street. The NYPD characterized Rivas Figueroa as a dangerous individual, armed with intent to harm not only civilians, but also police officers, and such reckless and life-threatening behavior was not going to be tolerated. Figueroa was charged as an adult, even though he is only 15.
Good.
And is also rumored to be part of the Tren de Aragua gang.
And arrested for a student's murder on UGA's campus. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Sean Gables. Right now, we are waiting for Jose Rivera's mugshot as well as his first court appearance. Cops say he did not know the victim.
The illegal migrant apprehended for the murder of a Georgia nursing student entered Texas from the border on September 8, 2022, and was transferred to a processing center. However, he was promptly released without being placed on a bus to New York City, where he was subsequently apprehended and released once more. 26-year-old Ibarra was juggling jobs at DoorDash, Uber Eats, and a nearby restaurant.
Welp, no more Uber Eats for me.
When he got arrested in August. The reason? Endangering a child's welfare. He was caught in Queens riding a gas-powered moped with Franco's son on the back, without any safety gear for the child. Diego crossed the U.S. border illegally via Eagle Pass, Texas, in April 2023. Although he was initially arrested, he was eventually put on patrol duty. Pictures taken during his arrest revealed tattoos on his neck, linked to a notorious Tren de Aragua gang. Additional photos depicted him posing with firearms. Lakin Riley, a University of Georgia, tragically lost on Thursday when her body was discovered in a wooded area of the UGA campus. The suspect, Ibarra, was taken into custody the following day and is facing multiple charges, including malice and aggravated battery, kidnapping, and concealing the death of another. His brother was also arrested for possessing a fake green card. Both are rumored to be a part of the Tren de Aragua gang. In 2023, more than 334,000 Venezuelans crossed the U.S.-Mexico border, making them the second largest group after Mexicans. Unfortunately, some gangsters have taken advantage of this migration wave by hiding among legitimate asylum seekers.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Border Patrol has detained at least 41 members of the Tren de Aragua gang who were attempting to cross the border between October 2022 and September 2023.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, if you know that there is some type of identifying mark on them specifically, what's going to start happening? All these people that are now being kind of like indoctrinated into that organization, what's going to happen now is they're going to stop getting these identifying marks. All right, so be careful with that.
Gang members in Texas have become so bold that they are now demanding payment from other Venezuelans to use the bathrooms at the border. Moreover, there are worries that El Tren de Aragua is actively seeking recruits in the shelters of the city. Currently, during escalating violence in the United States, a special agent in charge of the El Paso division in Texas by the name of Morales cautions that MS-13 and other perilous gangs may come together in a temporary alliance.
They are infiltrating cities in the United States and maybe forming alliances with gangs that are already established here.
Morales elaborated that despite the usual separation between gangs, the increasing strength of the Tren de Aragua is a cause for concern. She said, "Currently, we are collaborating with our local law enforcement allies and exchanging information to prevent the expansion of the Tren de Aragua." According to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, IC, individuals belonging to these two criminal organizations have been identified in various cities across the United States, including Baltimore, Philadelphia, Minneapolis, and Chicago.
Bro, how did they get to Maine? There's no telling. Guys, they are making it so bad, bro. So bad. I am all for the concept of helping somebody just a little bit, right? Specifically, if you're looking for safety for your family, I get that, but I'm not sure they should be put into, some of the biggest cities in the United States of America. We have a lot of empty land. Okay, we have a lot of land that can. We have a lot of government land, right? And because of that terrible organization, the Bureau of Land Management, guys, they're holding a lot of it, okay? If you want to build things like this, put them there, bro, right? Don't put them in a place where you're now risking citizens, okay? Like, so if you want to let them in, I'm not really for the concept of letting every single person in, but if you want to let them in, you should let them into a place that's big, open, and empty. At least so you can kind of figure out who everyone is. Don't just release them, to the unexpected public, bro. All right? That could probably solve a lot of issues here. I'm just going to be honest here. But my perception, obviously. But listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.